Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
And here we are on this Saturday. It is Baylor, Oklahoma State at McLean Stadium with the 2:30 kickoff, and we will take you up through Game Day Live until 2 o'clock right before kickoff, and we have a lot to get to, including we will hear today from Fox Sports color analyst and former Washington quarterback Brock Huard, who's doing the game today, along with Dave Aranda. We'll hear from him, Robert Allen, who covers Oklahoma State, and so much more to get to. We'll hear from Chris Williams from McLean Stadium momentarily, but a couple of shockers right now. Not one. TCU leads Oklahoma 34-10, and there's still 10 minutes to go in the first half. The Frogs have done every single thing they've wanted, and right now have Oklahoma on its ear.
Oklahoma's not tackling very well, and I think maybe Kansas State might have exposed them a little bit. Like, no, the trap game, look ahead, all that stuff. No, I think that that Chris Kleiman and Adrian Martinez maybe exposed that defense.
Where the trap game thing's coming from is I was just looking over Twitter and saw a guy that we know who's been very high on Oklahoma, who I guess was kind of reacting to this first half of the fact that it's 34-10 with 10 minutes to go in the second quarter. That was saying, oh, maybe they're looking ahead. I guess the Texas game. No, they're not. That is, I think, a convenient excuse to make. You're not looking ahead and getting beat by 24 with 10 minutes to go before halftime. This is nightmare scenario, and Dylan Gabriel just got nailed on a slide. So, yeah.
And they are. Marvin Mims went out just about maybe the last series, and now there's some pushing and shoving, and who knows, because Gabriel is still down. And that, I don't know. It means that, does that spark Oklahoma? Well, that shouldn't be what they need to feel like they're getting embarrassed as they are right now by TCU. Long way to go, but again, TCU looks really good. Max Duggan looks fantastic. Texas Tech, they hang around. Remember last week against Texas? They just hung around. They were down 31-17 early on a Bijan Robinson touchdown. They were down 13-0 to Kansas State. They had nothing. They'd get a touchdown drive near the end of the second quarter and then a long field goal at the buzzer as the clock went to 0, 13-10, Kansas State at home against Texas Tech. Baylor, Oklahoma State will play at 2:30. Iowa State at Kansas at 2:30, and also West Virginia at Austin against Texas. That game tonight is at 6:30. Also want to wish Darby Brown, hope she's doing okay. She's out today, and she's under the weather, and hope that Darby feels a lot better going forward the rest of the weekend. All right, we will hear from Chris Williams from McLean Stadium. He is there. Chris, thanks for your time. Baylor's back at home. This is a huge game, of course. And we always discuss the atmosphere, electric or not. It's too early for that, but your thoughts about what you see, the energy around McLean Stadium right now.
Yeah, well, the fireworks went up a little bit ago for the Bear Walk. And if I turn it here.
Just take him off the video here, and we'll just talk to him on the audio. Yeah.
The video glitching out a little bit.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was showing you they've lined up for the Bear Walk. The staff's starting to walk up here, and then the players will be walking through pretty soon. And it's the gold out game. There's a lot of gold lining both ropes. It looks pretty cool seeing everybody wearing their gold, and then we got the band in green here playing music. So yeah, I'd say the excitement's pretty high here at McLean.
Chris, this is an interesting matchup for Baylor. It's the third time in exactly 365 days they've played Oklahoma State. Do you think this one will maybe play out differently than the other two as far as the kind of game we see?
Well, I think it'll be a similar kind of game. I think if you look at last year's teams, Oklahoma State, Baylor, I believe they both had top 10 defenses. I think both defenses have taken a step back this year, so it maybe won't be quite as much of a defensive struggle. But as far as schemes, as far as what they like to do and what they're going to try to do, I think we're going to see pretty much identical to the game plans they came out with last year.
Chris, do you get the sense, I mean, we found out last night it's a sold-out crowd. I know you kind of commented there a second ago, but you get the sense maybe it's a bigger tailgate than it's been so far this season? Just, I know we've had a small sample size, but still.
Yeah, I mean, biggest game of the year, and then it's also, I feel like 2:30 is a great time slot for people because you don't have to wake up too early. You can get out of bed, you know, at your own pace and then get down here and still have a few hours to cook out and tailgate. People are definitely taking advantage. I mean, this lineup here for the Baylor Walk is as good as I've seen it this year, or probably for most games last year. So, yeah, you can feel it in the air that this is one of the biggest games in the country today.
Well, it was the home field advantage for Oklahoma State last year during the regular season was a huge part of why Baylor could not really get going in that game. So, Chris, Baylor fans need to return the favor today, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they won't have the obnoxious paddles that Oklahoma State has, but I do think that they can play a role. I mean, Baylor's won, 9 straight here at McLean Stadium, and when they're winning, the fans are as passionate as anybody. So, yeah, I think they need to be loud, especially on third down. And the other thing, Spencer Sanders, some reason he gets rattled against Baylor. If the crowd can add to that and make him even more uncomfortable, I think the Bears should be in good shape.
Chris Williams live at McLean Stadium, Baylor and Oklahoma State. Third meeting in exactly 365 days. Baylor losing in Stillwater, but winning the game for the Big 12 title in Arlington at, of course, AT&T Stadium. So, Chris, it appears as if both teams have lost quite a bit. They have key people back. Both quarterbacks are back. But your thoughts about Baylor and what we saw in Ames, and we saw maybe similarities to last year's team with how they won. Do you feel like they can carry that over here at home against the Cowboys?
I do. I think a big thing for Baylor fans is seeing that Richard Reese has grown into that number 1 running back spot. And I think that'll be the case even when Tay McWilliams eventually does come back from injury. I think he's shown he can carry the load. He can be a 20, 25 carry a game guy. And he's explosive, too. If he finds a gap in that wide zone scheme that big offensive line is opening up for him, he can turn it into 6 points, not just a good game. So I think that's a big thing is that where Abram was gone, he's filled in. Then on defense, I think Al Walcott has filled into that star position for Jalen Petrie well. Obviously, you can't be Jalen Petrie, but Al Walcott is pretty darn good at that position.
Thank you very much again, Chris Williams at McLean Stadium. We'll hear from Chris again much later in the show. A little bit between 1:30 and 2. 2:30 is the kickoff around that time at McLean Stadium, Baylor and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma down 34-10. They have the ball in TCU territory. Texas Tech, K-State in Manhattan. Two teams coming off big-time wins. 13-10. Kansas State leads that game at halftime. And again, Iowa State, Kansas at 2:30. And then West Virginia at Texas at 6:30. Oklahoma has just scored, and that game goes not back and forth because TCU still leads by a chunk. And then also, again, Baylor and Baylor and Oklahoma State.
Now, if there's a silver lining to this cloud for Oklahoma, if they can start getting stops, that offense can score quickly. But, I mean, that's a big if at this point because they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, 34-17 if the extra point is good. And Oklahoma has gone right back down the field. And what they need that thing to be is like 50-45 if they can keep it to that. To get back in this game. Also, last night, 15th ranked Washington beaten by UCLA. Craig kind of nailed this by saying, hey, watch out. UCLA's Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the quarterback, was really good. 40-32. UCLA hands 15th ranked Washington a loss. And how about Tulane in overtime beating Houston 27-24. It has been a rugged start for Dana Holgorsen, and the Cougars at UTSA beat Middle Tennessee State 45-30. Houston is right now in a free fall.
Yeah, they've got problems. They need to tighten it up, whatever's going on there. And, you know, losing to the third-string quarterback at Tulane, that's kind of a Willie Fritz special, but even still, when you're kind of dealt some of the advantages going into a game that you have, and they still manage to lose, they're losing close games, they're getting blown out, they're losing every kind of way you can. They've got to figure out who they are.
I don't know if they will. Again, the schedule does get better But at the same time, right now, I don't know who's just an easy out for them with their schedule. Purdue leads Minnesota on the road late in the second quarter, 10-3. That's a game going on in the top 25. And Kentucky and Ole Miss at halftime, 19-13. Ole Miss leads by 7. It's the first time since 1958 when Ole Miss won 27-6 against Kentucky that these two teams have played while both ranked since before I was born. And you know how old at 63 that I am. So there are a couple of other notes around the top 25 today. Michigan leads Iowa. That game is 13-0. Surprising that Iowa has not scored or struggling on offense. Jim Harbaugh, the head coach at Michigan, as a coach or player, has never beaten Iowa. Right now, they're up 13-0. That game is at halftime. All right, when we come back, we continue. We're going to hear from Brock Huard, his thoughts about Baylor and also Oklahoma State. We'll hear from Dave Aranda, Baylor football coach, with a one-on-one from earlier this week. And we also hear from Robert Allen, who does a great job covering Oklahoma State. And don't forget, Paul, what is Blake Blackmar today?
Tacos al pastor.
He's unbelievable with his tailgate recipes and cooking and also tips. And Sikkim 365 has their tailgate going on right now just across MLK near McLean Stadium. Brian Etheridge and Colt and Ashley and Blake Blackmar and company. And a lot of our viewers and listeners and also members of the website are there enjoying the day. This is 365 Sports and also the CW channel. And this is Game Day Live.
Game Day Live on News 10 is sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Advanced Pain Care, and Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
I'm Shannon Smith, and I'm the Executive Director at REACH Therapeutic Riding Center. REACH is a premier accredited center that specializes in equine-assisted activities for children and adults with disabilities, as well as our Horses for Warriors program that provides services for any United States military, veteran, or service member entirely free of charge. This year, our goal is to raise $30,000 to purchase our own horse trailer so we can continue to change lives one ride at a time.
I'm Carol Weaver with Waco Mattress Center. After visiting the Sealy factory, we've put together a Sealy Posturepedic sale of my choice that can't be beat. These Sealy Posturepedics come in a triple choice of comfort with cool fabric technology, sold locally and online from $15.99 to $18.99 in a queen. At Waco Mattress Center, these queens start at $12.99. In stock and ready for delivery. No need to wait weeks for your new Sealy Posturepedic. I'm Carol Weaver. Thank you for your business and keeping it local.
Come experience modern luxury living at Portico at Friars Creek in Temple. Enjoy our pet-friendly Tuscan and loft-style Texas-sized floor plans with desirable features like stainless steel appliances, vaulted ceilings, designer colors, expansive walk-in closets, washer and dryer connections, high-speed internet access, and so much more. You'll love our community amenities like a zero entry and our resort-style pool with an inviting outdoor cabana. Find your next home now at PorticoApartmentsTemple.com. Portico at Friars Creek in Temple, a Case & Associates property. Find Case, find home.
We're now joined by Fox Sports' Brock Huard. He joins us on 365 Sports, prepping for Baylor at Oklahoma State.
Brock, is there a team in the Big 12 that is bad, legitimately bad, or is this a league that's going to beat up on each other a lot?
Yeah, we chatted with Derek Mason today, and I think he echoed the sentiment of a lot of people. There's just really not going to be an easy out. Now, we'll see how the year plays out. There's a lot of very physical teams. I think your Bears are about as physical as it gets in this conference, but Iowa State plays physical football. K-State and Oklahoma play physical football. Obviously, Oklahoma State is incredibly physical as well. And with as many of those teams built that way over the course of the season, you and I both know what's going to happen. That what it looks like, week 1 in the Big 12 or week 2 is not in any way what it's going to look like by the end of the year, because you're going to have losses. You're going to have key contributors and key players that get knocked out for significant time just because of the nature of the physical presence in this league. And as I'm saying that, I'm kind of chuckling because it was just 5 or 6 years ago, no one would have ever said that about the Big 12. But yeah, there's new coaches, there's new blood, there's new physical programs. So I think as we sit here today, obviously with Kansas's emergence and K-State's big win and Sonny Dykes doing nice things there in Fort Worth, and even Texas Tech obviously getting it done late there against Texas. Yeah, not really an easy out. West Virginia obviously had some struggles out of conference, but I think Neil Brown's an excellent coach, and they still have a QB that can sling it everywhere, and they'll be a problem for some people. So there's really not a gimme on the schedule as we sit here and look at it right now.
Brock, last year, Blake Shapen got kind of thrown into the fire on the road against Kansas State, a matter of fact. Plays the second half, then plays the season finale against Texas Tech, and then plays in the Big 12 championship game and plays really well early on before getting his shoulder dinged up and then missing the bowl game. Obviously, those 3 games helped, and now that the games he's played so far this season, but how much before you feel like you've really kind of found yourself as a quarterback? Do you think he's approaching that already, or do you think there's a little bit more experience required?
Well, I think that depends on the people around you. And as Coach Aranda said the other day, coming out of the Iowa State game, I read into his quote of, he was trusting himself and trusting the team. And that's really the word, I think the word I continually come back to. It's not talent. I mean, he's got a beautiful release and the flick of a wrist. He's like, obviously a shortstop in baseball, and you see that arm talent manifest itself on the field. But it comes down to trust. And you had 2 senior running backs last year. You had 2 dynamic senior receivers. I'm looking at my board, comparing this year to last year. I had Baylor a season ago against Iowa State, and it's like, who are these guys? Where did they go? Some of these receivers weren't even on the depth chart last year, and obviously asked to play significant roles. The true freshman running back was playing high school football last year. So the benefit is he has a bruising group up front. That does enable, I think, a quarterback to hopefully gain trust even quicker. But as far as throwing it on the perimeter, and you saw that in Provo, he was just hesitant. He flinched. When I watched that tape, I had BYU Oregon a few weeks ago. So in my prep for that game, I watched the Baylor game, and I was like, man, that is not the Blake Shapen I saw a season ago. That's not the one I saw in the Big 12 title game. And I think it was representative of just not trusting that perimeter, those perimeter people, and throwing with anticipation, and was just kind of clutching everything. And that was not the case in Ames. And I think for Coach Aranda, for Coach Grimes in particular, calling the plays, if Ames is a precursor of things to come, that's a good sign, because that O-line is good. The people on the perimeter will grow. Your tight end is elite. And this little freshman running back's got quite a burst to him as well.
Brock, your thoughts about Baylor? I know they have not allowed over 100 yards in a game. Brigham Young, Jaron Hall hurt them with his legs, but mainly his passing. He was phenomenal with Roberts. Your thoughts about how they have been able to shut people down, no matter who they've played, with that big, thick, deep defensive line?
Yep. Well, that's it right there, man. When you can win the most basic math equation on the field, when you're 4, and sometimes with Siaki, it's just your 3 to beat 5. It gives you so many more numbers to play with. It's kind of the inverse of what I was just talking about with a quarterback that can run. You get that extra +1 in the run game because he becomes a runner and not just standing the ball off. They do that defensively with their, as you said, huge, long, athletic, thick guys up front that just make you earn every yard, and then do enough in the passing game to squeeze and constrict and feel that QB feels their presence in that pocket. And then you've got 7 or 8 on the back end that cause a lot of problems. But when there's 4 receivers versus 7, no QB likes those odds. So that will certainly be critical. Their ability to contain Spencer, to hit Spencer. I love how fast Dylan Doyle and Matt Jones are playing at the second level of that defense as well. I think they're playing fast as any second-level defenders I've watched on tape at this point in the season. And, yeah, boys, it's going to be a loud one. It's going to be a physical one, and it's going to be one whose ever veteran defensive line controls and constricts this pocket most frequently, more than likely wins it Saturday.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. I know you got a crazy cram schedule. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you Saturday and also hearing the call and watching the call, too.
That sounds great, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Brock Huard, Fox Sports.
Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Cars priced right both day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Three Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
We're back, Game Day Live here on 365 Sports and also the CW channel. A couple of different notes in the Big 12. Dylan Gabriel, we mentioned this before, Brock Huard. He was hit in a targeting call against TCU. He's walking towards the tunnel, I'm sure, for more testing. And right now, Davis Bevel is in the game, a junior who is a big, tall guy, 6'6", a junior from Greenville, South Carolina. He now is in the game for Oklahoma, and it's still 34-17 TCU. And then an interesting turn of events as well in that TCU-Oklahoma game. TCU threw a deep ball down near the left sideline. It was incomplete. There was contact early. Sonny Dykes is not happy. Called a timeout just so he could absolutely blow some steam off. And then TCU was held short on a 4th down. Oklahoma, though, has to punt it right back to TCU.
It was simultaneously 2 15-yard penalties. It was a hit on a defenseless receiver, wasn't targeting, but it was at least pass interference, because it was before the ball got there. So Sonny Dykes had the right to be upset about that.
And he's upset now because there's a punt return that looked like there was some room for Davis, who's a fantastic playmaker, and they said that he called a fair catch, and he's not happy. But they're up 34-17, and Texas Tech is going to have to punt back to Kansas State, opening up the third quarter. K-State still leads that game 13-10. All right, what is today, or what has been this week, the biggest story coming out of the Big 12? What story? Yes, it could be because of a win or a loss or whatever it is. Is it Kansas? Is it Texas coming off the loss to Tech? And we've been hearing that there were a players-only meeting. Is it Oklahoma trying to find themselves? Is it the best game? Is it 2:30 with Baylor and Oklahoma State here in Waco?
I think it's the possible renaissance of Adrian Martinez after the big win against Oklahoma last week. If he can continue that, and look, the Red Raiders have appeared to at least stifle him since the early success he had in that game. But if he can play that confident game in and game out, that's a game changer for the Wildcats for sure.
He was dynamic, Craig, in that win against Oklahoma in Norman.
Yeah, he was. He was fantastic, and wonder if that's not still having some aftershocks today for Oklahoma. But I think the biggest story this week is certainly Baylor, Oklahoma State. I think the team that wins today kind of takes that lead. There might be some other teams that, like a TCU, for example, that you have right there at the top, or a Kansas if they win today. But I think Baylor, Oklahoma State's a big result. Certainly, though, leading in Adrian Martinez and K-State with that win was pretty sensational.
K-State back on the field after receiving the punt from Texas Tech. Martinez today, 8 of 11 passing, 83 yards. Had over 200 yards passing last week. He's also rushed for 65 yards and a touchdown of 18 yards in 6 carries as he gains more confidence. But this one is wide open. Absolutely a wide open game with 4 minutes into the third quarter. 13-10 right now is K-State at home against Texas Tech. All right, today at 2:30. We will discuss more about Oklahoma State with Robert Allen next. We saw these two last year, and the first game was a grinded-out game in Stillwater. Oklahoma State was more physical. Even in that game, Matt Jones, a penalty at the end of the game, pretty much took away any chance Baylor had to win. That was physical. The game at AT&T Stadium was more of an up-and-down game with Baylor's offense rolling in the first half, and then all of a sudden, if we know, the crazy play at the end. Do we see a little bit of what we saw in Stillwater, or do we see much more of what we saw in the first half at AT&T Stadium?
I think it's probably the first half at AT&T Stadium, maybe not as one-sided, but I think that both these teams have significant personnel losses on defense. While I don't think they forgot how to play defense or coach defense in a year, they can make stops when they need to. I do think that, if you're Baylor and you lose Petrie and Woods and Terrell Bernard off that defense, that's a lot of turnovers you lost. And if you're Oklahoma State and you've lost Malcolm Rodriguez and Devin Harper, and then on the other side of the ball you've lost Jalen Warren. Baylor, it's almost kind of the same thing. They return a lot of guys, but they've lost almost kind of the same positions across the field that were the identity of their team last year. So I think we're going to see a little bit more scoring and a little bit more wide open offense from these teams. I don't expect it to be like this TCU-Oklahoma game, but I expect there to be more points.
Craig?
Yeah, I expect there to be more points as well. I think Spencer Sanders is going to want to chunk it around a bit. Baylor's proven that they can shut down the run. I think Oklahoma State will still try to obviously run the football. You have to, but I think, they're going to try to attack through the air. I think with Shapen hitting his groove last week, Baylor should have some confidence in doing that as well.
All right, when we come back, Robert Allen, he dissects Oklahoma State and knows quite a bit. Remember, he's from Waco, knows quite a bit about Baylor, and we'll see some players who are from the Waco area coming back into town who play for the Cowboys, and all of that and more. 365 Sports and CW Channel and Game Day Live.
When storms damage your roof, there's only one place to call, and it's Montgomery Construction and Roofing. MCR offers detailed bids for affordable quality roof repair and replacement. Schedule your free inspection and make sure your damage is repaired right the first time. Our claim specialist can help walk you through filing an insurance claim for wind and hail, too.
Say goodbye to damaged roofs and yes to Montgomery Construction and Roofing. We roof Texas, and we are here to serve you.
Hi, I'm Vic Fazell. During these trying times, you might want to just stay home. And at the law offices of Vic Fazell, we understand. That's why we're set up to handle your personal injury claim without you even having to come in. Just give us a call, and we'll take it from there. We can send any paperwork straight to your smartphone or computer. Don't delay, because if we don't put money in your pocket, you don't owe us anything. I'm Vic Fazell.
Catch up on the day's news with KWTX News 10.
We love having Robert Allen, sideline reporter, has his own show, of course, as well. And Robert Allen joins us on 365 Sports. Well, Craig mentioned this week, Robert. Saturday when they play will be exactly 365 days from when they played in Stillwater. And, of course, we've seen two really good football games and might see a third.
I think it's a flip a coin game. I think, obviously, Vegas thinks that, too, with the point spread they put on it. So, yeah, I think this will be a heck of a competitive game. The thing that the two teams are coming into it very differently. Baylor's been tested, went out to Provo and got beaten double overtime and played really well last week in Ames. That's a tough place to go win. I think, in fact, it was Oklahoma State. The Malcolm Rodriguez pick six game in 19 was the last time Iowa State had lost at home until Baylor took it to them last Saturday. And Oklahoma State, it's been kind of a country club life. I mean, I thought Central Michigan was pretty good, and I think that's kind of been proven that they're pretty good. Arizona State was came in here kind of a dumpster fire, and it only got worse. And then Pine Bluff is what it is. So this team hadn't proven much yet. They'll get the chance to do that Saturday in Waco.
Does that worry you a little bit, Robert?
It would if it were, and there are some young players, but not that many. I mean, even in the secondary and the linebacker, where they've had a pretty good makeover from last year's defense. Mason Cobb is a junior. Xavier Benson started a year at Texas Tech and was the player of the year and was an All-American in JUCO last year on defense. In the secondary, Jason Taylor was a starter last year, and Thomas Harper has been a part-time starter, and Sean Michael Flanagan's a fifth-year senior starting for the first year. And then the two corners, Jabbar Muhammad and Corey Black, have played a lot. In fact, they kind of were the guys against Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl. They had the second half, and some of those guys who were older sat. Coaching staff felt they were the two best corners at that point. So, if it were a younger team, Smokey, I would panic. It's not a young, and even on offense, it's not a bunch of young pups. They've been through this. They just haven't been through it yet this season.
Is Spencer Sanders better, and is it because of yet another year of experience or something else?
Spencer Sanders is better because, the longer you do this, the better you should get at it. He's extremely talented, but I'm not going to get defensive. I do sometimes. And, the biggest thing this week among OSU fans, I've had so many people come up and say, well, if Spencer will protect the ball, we'll be good. That's all we need. Just protect the ball. Well, let me tell you something. There's a kid up at K-State named Adrian Martinez that heard that enough that the first three games, even though they won several of them, for K-State, he protected the ball. I mean, Matt Walters, their sideline guy, is one of my best friends. And Matt's like, man, we can't get this guy to throw the ball downfield. He's gun shy. He didn't want to take a chance. And finally, I think Chris Kleiman told him before the game last week with OU, look, if you don't cut it loose and make some plays, we're going to have to go somebody else. We can't have that. Well, Spencer's never had that. Even when the fans say, 4 interceptions. And if you go back and look at the 4 interceptions, 2 of them were tipped. One of them was blatant, but there was a pass rusher right in his face. And the other one was probably the dumb decision. So, I mean, 2 of the 4 you can pin on him, and maybe half of the one where he got rushed, give Baylor credit for making a good play. But you got to give the defense credit sometimes. But Spencer doesn't listen to that. He loves the offense the way it is right now. They go fast. He's better. Some guys aren't better when they go fast. He's better when they're going fast. And his teammates have a tremendous amount of confidence in him. And I don't ever want him to get that. I really don't want him to get the yips. I don't want him to feel like, oh, man, I got to be careful. Spencer being careful is the Cowboys getting beat. Spencer playing free and making plays is this offense winning games. That to me is the difference.
Robert, through 3 games, I think the last time we talked to you was right before the season started, and we talked a little bit about just Derek Mason and how he was fitting in, but what have been your impressions of the defense through just these first 3 games?
You know what? He's kind of kept it vanilla, which is understandable against the 3 teams they played. And they got thrown for a loop by Central Michigan. Central Michigan came out looking like the San Francisco 49ers of, Bill Walsh days. They ran a West Coast offense, and their quarterback got it out of his hands. Man, I mean, I don't think he ever held it 2 seconds until the second half. And they had some success with it. Here's the other thing that concerns me. They had a couple of pretty good tight ends, and they had success going just dump balls to the tight end and shallow crosses to the receivers, and took the OSU defensive line out of it. And the guys didn't really get their hands up. Since then, when that's been repeated, the linemen have deflected a number of balls because they've got their hands up so they can at least have some impact. But the linebackers were lost in that Central Michigan game. So that's really been the biggest thing that Mason's had to repair is like, guys, here's how we treat a quick game or a West Coast offense. And I kind of expect Baylor's capable of that. Those tight ends, Bill, Dabney, there's some conviction in my part, that Dylan Doyle may be an offensive player as well as he plays when they put him over there. Doesn't drop anything, and he's a hell of a blocker. So yeah, Baylor's capable of doing what so far teams have done and hurt Oklahoma State with. And so that's been the biggest thing for Mason is correcting that, making sure that they can defend that type of attack. And then I think you'll see some of his personality come out now once you get into conference play.
Robert, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time. As always, we'll see you Saturday. Robert Allen, sideline for Oklahoma State.
Game Day Live on News 10 is sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Advanced Pain Care, and Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
I had bad back pain for more than 15 years and had multiple surgeries that didn't work. Then when I got the spinal cord stimulator, I felt like a new man. Thanks to the people at Advanced Pain Care, I can finally enjoy quality time with my family.
This reversible procedure works by blocking pain signals from the lower back and legs from reaching the brain. We've helped thousands of patients get relief, including myself. From Waco to Bastrop, there's a location near you. Advanced Pain Care, the pain stops here.
Hi, I'm John Proctor with Home Place Interiors. You know, nothing compares to the quality of an area rug to finish your house. Come by and save 50% on all in-stock and special order rugs. Come by Home Place Interiors where quality is affordable.
For all your flooring needs, visit Home Place Interiors at 523 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Hey team, welcome back to Black Bar Barbecue Tailgate Series. Today, we're out at Game Garb Ranch. I'm rocking the Pearl Snap tee. We're gonna get some tacos al pastor started. We're gonna do some on the rotisserie. I'm also gonna show you how to do it on the grill if you don't have a rotisserie. It'll be kick-ass, might even make some nachos.
Every good al pastor starts with that marinated meat, and every good marinade starts with onion and garlic. Plenty of it.
All right, team. So these are pasilla, guajillo, and a couple of chipotle chilies. They're dehydrated. We're gonna get them here in this hot water, let them simmer for 20, 30 minutes to rehydrate. First things first, we've gotta make our marinade for the tacos al pastor. We've got our chilies, they've been simmering, they've rehydrated. We've got half a yellow onion. We've got as much garlic as I could put in here. Get that into the blender. Now we're gonna pull the stems out of these chilies and get them in the blender. Pull that out, dump out the seeds, in. So this is the base of our al pastor marinade, right? Onions, garlic, and our braised peppers. The most important thing is gonna be some achiote paste. I could not find any at the grocery store I was going to, but they did have this achiote powder, so we'll make our own paste. So we'll just get a couple of packets. We've got some tomato paste, and we're just gonna blend all this together. We're not going to use all the tomato paste because we do want to leave ourselves some wiggle room. And the achiote comes from some kind of special pepper or the seed of a pepper. I don't know that much about it. I know it tastes good. To complement, we're going to go in with some cumin. Favorite's all-purpose. It's just salt, pepper, garlic. Should pretty much go in everything. Yeah, we'll go in with a little more. Some vinegar to provide some contrast. Pineapple juice and orange juice. You can use just pineapple juice. You can use some kind of mixture like this. I highly recommend the pineapple orange juice personally. And we're just eyeballing it, right? The intent is to kind of make a paste. We're gonna add a little brown sugar also for some contrast. Don't go crazy with it. Oh, man down. I'm wounded. Yeah, that's pretty good. So traditionally, the al pastor taco is made with thinly sliced marinated pork on rotisserie. We're gonna try to get as close as we can to that today. This is a boneless pork butt. You can do it with bone in, although it's a pain in the ass to kind of cut around the bone and stuff. This is what they have at H-E-B. It's pre-made, it's easy. Just get it, get you a good knife. And we're gonna go for just some thin shaved slices. You can ask them to do this at the store as well, and they will. But I just think this is a little more fun.
Now it's marinade time.
Don't be shy, get your hands dirty a little bit. Foil wrap this or saran wrap it or whatever, get it in the fridge, let this marinate. You could go overnight with this. That's probably what I recommend, but we're gonna let this go for probably 6-7 hours, basically till we're hungry, and then it's go time.
While the meat is marinating, let's go ahead and make a roasted corn pico de gallo. Start off with some diced onion, jalapenos, tomatoes, cilantro, and if it tastes like soap, get over it. Now time for the most important part of any good pico de gallo, fresh lime juice. Really work those forearm muscles. Oh, fumble! Sorry, I got lineman hands. Y'all saw the ball security though, right? Y'all saw that? Yeah, we recovered well. Salt, pepper to taste. Give that the old Ish Wilson mixtape. We're going to add to the layers of flavor we're building with some fresh corn right off the grill. Just cut the corn off the cob, toss it in. Taste for seasoning, add a little salt if necessary, and try to snack on this until your meat's done. Taco condiment number 2, coming at you hot with a roasted pepper avocado salsa verde. Starts with, hint, hint, some avocado. Next, the star of this is going to be some roasted peppers. I grilled these off on a high heat grill till they were charred, put them in a plastic bag, sealed it closed, let them steam in there for 10 minutes. Then you can just pull off the flaky charred stuff. It's going to be bitter. Then you just pop the stem out, and then we go in seeds and all into the blender. It is delicious. Great depth of flavor. Cilantro, probably the most important thing to this because it's going to provide freshness and a little pop, and it's going to give it that awesome color. This is going to be a thick boy sauce, so let's go ahead and add some beer to thin it out because that never hurt nothing. Now we're going in with the cheap pre-made lime juice. I hope you squeeze your own fresh, but I ran out. Now we will behead one pineapple. Go ahead and take its feet off too. Slice that in medallions, cut the rind off. Don't worry about cutting the middle out yet because we're going to go ahead and throw this on the grill, get some color. Pineapple traditionally goes with al pastor, but I hate when people serve it with raw pineapple. Not my thing. So let's grill this off with some onion. It'll be great. If you have a rotisserie, congratulations. You now get to stab that thing through the butt of the pineapple, which will act as our base. And then repeatedly, we will sheathe that thing like Excalibur through our slices of meat. We will repeat this just like linemen do their daily drills again and again and again. One more time. You thought we were done. Oh, we are. Just kidding. We forgot to put the last piece of pineapple on. Now, crown your king. Let that rotisserie roll, slowly carving off the nice charred bits for tacos. If you don't have a rotisserie, fire up the grill. Quickly, let's dice up our grilled pineapple. Now we're cutting the center out because it is chewy. We're going to slice up that onion. Be careful. It's going to be soft because it is cooked, but it's got lots of flavor. Dice a lot of green onion because we don't have enough green things or oniony things in these recipes yet. Lime juice, of course. Cumin and salt and pepper are the usual suspects. We are now out of utensils, so we're going to toss this. Oh, baby. Corn pico de gallo, grilled pineapple slaw. Let's go. Now, if you don't have the rotisserie, this is what I recommend. Take those slices of meat, throw them on that hot grill, let them get charred up. This is what our rotisserie looks like after about 10 minutes. Corn tortillas onto the hot plancha. Now we're going to slice up that freshly grilled pork, get a little taste test. It's damn good. You got some char. It's got lots of roasty depth of flavor. It's not overly spicy, and it's actually pretty sweet from the pineapple juice and the brown sugar we put in there. Phenomenal. Let's build those tacos. Pork, our roasted pepper sauce, little pineapple slaw, and then let's go in with some pico just to be safe because it's so damn good. Let me tell you guys, this is a winner. The corn tortilla, you got spicy sauce. The meat itself is kind of roasty and sweet. It all complements each other. Layers of flavor. Try this out. It is a winner.
If you're out looking for a great selection of new cars and trucks, then shop Allen Samuels in Waco, because we have some of the best deals in Central Texas that will put you in a new vehicle and driving away with confidence. During the Labor Day sales event, you can take your pick, a new 2022 Dodge Charger or Dodge Challenger, and receive 0% for 72 months and no payments for 90 days. If you're a first responder, you get an extra $500 off your purchase. High-quality vehicles from a dealership with a hometown feel. Allen Samuels in Waco.
Did you know that Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a partner of the City of Waco? Did you know that we are open to the public? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers day passes to the public for only $10 a day, and we offer money-saving memberships. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including bar, yoga, boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. There are free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, elliptical machines, and much more on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training available where you can be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, and kids club. 17 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Waco's premier experience, where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at wacotennis.com. Call us at 254-753-7675 or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears!
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLean County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, 3 Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
All right, we're back on Game Day Live, 365 Sports, and also on CW Channel today. Garrett Ross running the mothership, and Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina with me. To my right and left, David Smoak. And let's update the scoreboard here. Right now, Kansas State, late third quarter, Texas Tech driving inside the 15 of the Wildcats. It is 20-13 Kansas State, and Tech has just scored. And the Red Raiders hanging around up in Manhattan. They were down 13-0. Donovan Smith with a bullet and a touchdown extra point away from tying that game up. Deuce Vaughn finally got loose for Kansas State. Most of everything, the heavy work, has been done by Adrian Martinez. And here is Joey McGuire and the Red Raiders on the road in a tough game. Both 1-0 in the conference. And they have now come back to tie the game with the extra point to come.
They don't necessarily control games, but they don't go away. And that's probably the mark of a team that doesn't have the depth or experience that maybe teams that control games do. But right now, it hasn't mattered much for them because they hang around and they're winning more than they're losing right now.
Yeah, I said it earlier this week. Belief's a powerful drug, and they are high on belief there in Lubbock. Joey's got a lot of the Matt Rule motivational stuff going on. That was clear during the offseason. He did a lot of the same stuff that Rule did, took some pointers from Dave Aranda as well. And I think he just has a team that was never lacking in talent, tried to, say on multiple occasions when people were, first-year head coach, they had a bad head coach previously, like they'll take some time to rebuild, and I didn't feel that way at all. I mean, he had a full quarterback room, had some skill guys, had a defense that played pretty stingy even when they weren't scoring points under Matt Wells. So I think the ingredients were there to be at least a bowl team from the start. Now, they might be more than that based on the way they're playing now. So, kudos to Tech for getting up, and especially on the road. You wonder if K-State's got a little bit of some gas missing in the tank because of how, just big their win was last week. But, that could be the case for Texas Tech as well, and it doesn't seem to be. So, we're in for a good finish here.
Xavier White with the touchdown catch and a dart from Donovan Smith, and they had to go about a yard or two to get in the end zone. Extra point is good, 20-20. K-State and Texas Tech, 3:08 to go in that third quarter in Manhattan. You would think, even though beating Texas for Texas Tech in an emotional game, that Kansas State, Oklahoma, who would have been more difficult? Craig just brought it up. Who of these two, if any, and maybe that's overrated if we say, oh, my God, who of the two you think had the biggest job to get back emotionally this week?
I think you're kind of maybe splitting hairs. I mean, Tech just beat Texas the last time that Texas may ever go to Lubbock. I mean, that could still come back around, or at least for the foreseeable future. But the way it's looking, that might be the last time that Tech plays Texas in Lubbock, and they won that game in overtime in dramatic fashion. Adrian Martinez shook off years of demons and turning the ball over in big moments and beat Oklahoma on the road. And it was part of the team, but he led that charge to beat Oklahoma on the road. I think they're both, coming out of the same side of the building, if you know what I'm talking about.
There goes Deuce Vaughn again for a big chunk of 15. Smith is 21 of 28. He throws it a lot with that Kitley offense for Texas Tech for 188 yards and 2 scores. He did throw an interception and a batted pass. Martinez, 10 of 14, 99 yards in the score. Deuce Vaughn now with 147 yards on 17 carries. That Texas game with West Virginia tonight, one of the stories today, Pete Thamel earlier today reporting that Quinn Ewers is out. There was at least a little bit of that chess match type comments from Steve Sarkisian. Ewers out, focused on returning against Oklahoma next week, according to sources for Pete Thamel from ESPN.
I'm curious. I hope he does. I want to see that. I'm curious to see Texas with Quinn Ewers again. I hope that he's healthy enough to play. I know that's a pretty painful injury. It hurts to swallow. It hurts to breathe. It hurts to do everything because of where that the separation was right by his sternum and his collarbone. So yeah, I think so, and I do think sometimes people say that to rush back, and that's nice. It wouldn't surprise me either way to see him not play or play next week.
If he doesn't come back next week, then you start to get a little bit of an annoyance with Sarkisian in this timetable that doesn't really have a time on it because it does seem like they're trying to lead this into maybe a big Oklahoma return. If that doesn't happen, then I don't know. I kind of lose interest in the whole return thing at that point because it'll have been almost a month from doing the same thing basically every single game. So hopefully that is leading to an Oklahoma return for Oklahoma based on the way they're playing today. Probably not what they would want to hear at the moment, but they've got bigger fish to fry.
Adrian Martinez, 3 and out, Kansas State. Actually, they did pick up a first down. They were about to punt back to Texas Tech with under 2 minutes left, third quarter. That game again tied at 20 apiece. That West Virginia-Texas game is tonight at 6:30. There was also some games in the top 25 today around college football, updating some of those scores. We're also going to have the conversation with Baylor head coach Dave Aranda here momentarily. Michigan 20, Iowa nothing. You guys can comment after I mention each of the scores if you want, for as long as you want.
Is Iowa
fourth-ranked Michigan 20, Iowa nothing. 41 seconds to go, third quarter.
Is Iowa going to score 20 in the next 3 weeks? Because I don't think they're going to score it in the next quarter and a half.
No, that game's over.
Yeah.
Ole Miss and Kentucky. Wildcats have battled back. 2:08 to go, third quarter. 22-19, Ole Miss leads by 3. Kentucky has the ball at their own 34.
That's about how that game was probably supposed to go, back and forth. And both teams have big playmakers. I know that Kentucky got their running back back this week, Chris Rodriguez. He's back, so that's probably made a difference in the game. Haven't been able to see much of it, just been following along. I did watch the earlier part of that game, and Ole Miss can just run the ball really well. They're really explosive at every position.
169 yards, averaging 6 yards per carry.
Yeah, so, that Zach Evans pickup was big for them. They already had good running backs. That Jackson Dart can run the ball himself. So it's going to be interesting to see that down the stretch.
Yeah, I haven't been able to see a ton of that one, but not surprised that it's a close contest. Expected that.
Jackson Dart, 11 of 23, but 171 yards, but thrown a pick. By the way, Zach Evans, 9 carries for 25 yards, has a touchdown. Quinshawn Judkins, their leading rusher, 77 yards on 8 carries, almost 10 yards a pop and a touchdown in that game. Chris Rodriguez, you mentioned him, Paul, 15 carries, 61 yards, and a touchdown. Levis is 11 of 14 for 106 yards and 2 scores. Very efficient, but not a lot of yards right now in the passing game. He has spread it around, though, to 8 different receivers. Some other games in the that's a good one. That looks like it's going to be going down to the wire. So a tremendous one-handed catch by Texas Tech inside the K-State 20, and also what appears to be also defensive pass interference, and the Red Raiders are right back down in the red zone against Kansas State. Minnesota-Purdue tied at 10 mid-third quarter in that one.
That's about a Minnesota-Purdue game, right? 10-10. I mean, I'm not knocking it. I think that's about how that's supposed to go. I think P.J. Fleck likes that. Jeff Brown probably not as much. I know he likes things to be a little bit more wide open. But P.J. Fleck, likes to be able to kind of grind you down a little bit. He's still got Mo Ibrahim, so that game could go either way.
Early game on the West Coast, Utah, actually Mountain Time. Utah and Oregon State tied at 7. in a game Oregon State, of course, last week with a tough loss in the Pac-12, but right now tied at 7 apiece with Utah and midway through the first quarter. Everything else is tonight. How about the Washington-UCLA game last night? We'll hear from Dave Aranda, by the way, and also Chris Williams will join us again from McLean Stadium. But UCLA, I mentioned this, Penix had a great game, threw for 345 yards and 4 touchdowns, but not enough, as UCLA led 26-10 at halftime, and it was 16 points. It was once 40-16 UCLA, and the Bruins and Chip Kelly get a great win in the Pac-12.
Yeah, that was, Craig kind of called this out yesterday when we were talking about it on the show about, UCLA could very well have said them. We don't know anything about them yet, but I think we do now, 5-0 UCLA, and Washington's been one of the better stories, but that was a really good game, and Washington had to come back to even make it that close in the fourth quarter, and didn't have enough time to score the third touchdown they would have needed in that quarter to even tie the game. So good on Chip Kelly and the Bruins for getting a big dub.
Yeah, it's almost like every once in a while I know what I'm talking about, and that was one just had a little bit of a hunch on. But, yeah, big for Chip Kelly. Tells you a little bit more where UCLA is, and definitely takes a little bit of air out of Washington, but they still have a lot to play for. And, just a great win for the Bruins. I'm not a big fan of and we saw this with Oklahoma last week, the whole flickering the lights whenever you score. Like at the end of that UCLA game, they had the lights off basically, and it just looks dumb. Like I don't think it looks cool. It looks like you haven't paid your electric bill basically, and it was just kind of weird. I don't know if other people enjoy that. I'd be curious to know because I've seen that now in a couple of places, and I don't know that I'm on board normally with like uniform changes and different stuff that people do. This one I'm not really feeling this whole flickering stadium lights, dark stadium lights thing. But regardless, UCLA got to celebrate, and that was a big win for them.
Well, and we saw it, Paul, when we did a high school game at Permian High School, Ratliff Stadium in Odessa.
They throw on the LEDs. It's pretty it's ornate for a high school game, I'll tell you that.
It was more of a concert light show than it was at times after touchdowns or even timeouts. Ohio State's Jackson Smith in Jigga, he's out against Rutgers. That probably won't matter. Rutgers, of course, though, again, in the Big Ten, that game today at 2:30 in Columbus, Ohio State has mauled everybody other than the 21-10 when they came back to open the year up against Notre Dame. And Arkansas State, Toledo, you expect that, but scored 52 on Wisconsin last week to win 52-21.
And Wisconsin is in it today against the upstart Illini and Brett Bielema, 31-10. That game, 4:36 left in the third.
Good, huge, great start for Illinois in that one. Also, one other note, TCU has started now the second half, 41-17 at halftime over Oklahoma. They scored early, they scored often, they scored in different ways, and they have the ball to start the second half against the Sooners. Sooners quarterback Dylan Gabriel knocked out of that game in the second quarter on a targeting call when he was sliding. Not sure exactly what his status is, but would doubt if he'll come back in that one. When we come back, we'll have Dave Aranda. We'll hear from Chris Williams from the stadium at 2:30 kickoff. A great matchup in the Big 12 and top 25 with top 10 Oklahoma State and Baylor at number 17? This is Sikkim 365 Radio and the CW channel.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears great success this season. Sikkim Bears.
At Dr. Smiley, you're always our top priority. Dr. Lee, Dr. Lim, and the friendly staff are committed to delivering exceptional and professional care in general, family, cosmetic, and emergency dental services. Get $24.99 implant, abutment, crown, 3D CT scan, and consultation. Dr. Smiley accepts Medicaid and most dental insurance. Call Dr. Smiley today at 254-732-2606 and book your appointment today.
When it comes to accounting or financial services, choose a firm where it's about you. At Patillo, Brown & Hill, we empower our clients to thrive and grow with a strong professional partnership that gets to know you and your business. Our longevity is a product of our top-notch team of innovative thinkers, critical problem solvers, and dedicated partners who provide a clear and comprehensive plan for your financial achievement. Patillo, Brown & Hill, because it's more than numbers and data. It's about providing peace of mind.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears great success this season. Sick 'em Bears.
WTX has the most advanced technology, powered by Johnson Brothers Ford.
Baylor football coach Dave Aranda with me, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. The eyes that you mentioned after Brigham Young, did you even sense that in Ames?
No. Yeah, none of it.
You have a football team that knows how to win, expects to win. Do you feel that from them day in and day out with the process, the culture, the words that are used?
I do. I think some of the disconnect, if I could use that word, and maybe that's too strong of a word, but I think some of the issues that we've been working through is just the youth of the team, right? Some of the older veteran players communicating standards and expectations, some of the younger players, kind of how that looks, how the youth of the team is going to look at, a success. And is everything always going to, if you put in the work, does it always going to look like that? How to handle success, right? A loss, how to handle a loss, right? How to get back if you get knocked down, to get back up. Like, what does that look like? And there's just so many kind of layers prior to even you get to the surface and the things that everybody around sees. There's so many things that are down below that are really kind of foundational things, and that really, as you talk about, a lot of times people just kind of gloss over because they're not really connecting it to experience. So the experience is really the greatest teacher, and so there's a fair amount of all of that going on daily.
Not many freshmen play college football at pretty much any level, but you have to have trust in them too. Richard Reese has gained your trust. He was brought up during the presser as well. Is it easier for a skill position player as a freshman to play than anywhere else?
Probably so. Yeah, it's a good question. I think anything with the line of scrimmage, there's such a difference in strength and maturity, and I think skill-wise, where there still needs to be great execution. I think a lot of times there's enough space for the athleticism to make it right. Where I think line of scrimmage-wise, the room for error is so reduced because of the close quarters, and the need for strength is so emphasized. It's easier for skill guys.
Lemire, Lorando Snacks, Devin Neal, a lot of younger players seem to make plays, and this doesn't mean they haven't before. Is that the growth of the program from like a grass growing during the early spring into the summer?
Yeah, I think their confidence is increasing, and I think they're playing hard and they're practicing well. And you look at the weeks the last week that those guys had was their best week, and then they come out and play well, and so it's really cool to see, and we'd like to build on that.
The SEC has elite teams, and probably more than any other conference. But it does appear as if the Big 12 from top to bottom is very deep, and that doesn't mean just this year because of teams that won or didn't win. Do you feel that in this conference?
I do. I think I know there's great coaches. I know there's great culture in our conference, and I think there's a great connection with the team. And so it's not an outfit with maybe a group of really freakish athletes doing this or doing that. And while we do have great athletes, it's not that. It's more of teams winning as a team. And I think that's why you have so many games that are just down to the wire, because they continue to fight, and they can, there's a belief in their brothers to their left and right. And so I think that will make for some entertaining games. That'll make for a lot of nail-biting games.
You mentioned Bryson Jackson has gained confidence. Is he now someone, you play him not just on passing downs, you just want to find a way to get him on the field?
Yeah, so I mean his motor never stops. So we track, the 20 miles per hour, and he is one of the top guys in that. I think he is the top guy that consistently runs that in practice, in games. I mean, his motor never stops, and so the more that we play him, the better we are.
One more thing on the transfer portal. You guys looked at wide receivers. Did you actually ever look at that because of the youth of your position coming back?
I remember that we talked about it, and then the thought just became, we've got guys here that maybe have been injured or maybe have been, in 2019 had this role, or in 2020 even had another role, and now in 22, we're looking at them, or they're not even being talked about. And so the discussion was, if we pour our heart and soul into our team, into these guys, right? They have the ability. It's just dormant there. If we do everything we can to not count and to not hold judgment, but to bring this guy back to life, there's your transfer portal guy right there, And so, that's what we're trying to do.
Your last thing, emotions of what you are on the sideline. You're so stoic at times. What was it, the emotion that led to you just unleashing and having fun with your assistant coaches with got all the attention the butt slap?
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting one when I walk out, by the way.
No, I know. I'm sure this is the beginning. So I just think it's always been like that. I don't know how that really started. I think when you're around our strength coaches, it kind of just naturally has to kind of be that, I think. But the energy in the pit when we're in, so the special teams unit's going to come out, it will get to that. It will get to, if they would have stayed on us or on the pit after that continued after I left with just all throughout. And so I just think it's a way cool energy, and I think I enjoyed it. I feel like that part of my life has to die now.
No. I think a lot of people loved it. Dave, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Baylor head coach Dave Aranda, 365 Sports.
Game Day Live on News 10 is sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Advanced Pain Care, and Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
So before I came to Dr. Thrasher, my teeth were awful. They were ugly. They were yellow. They just looked nasty. I came here and Dr. Thrasher fixed them. They're gorgeous. I love to smile in my pictures and show them off to everybody. I just love them.
Well, I feel terrific. I mean, it's what I live for in dentistry, is to be able to have an impact on somebody's life, to make their life better.
I don't know what any of this stuff is.
Is the Jeep not starting?
Token, can you please come help?
Y'all call for a tow?
Yes.
Y'all call for a tow?
Yes.
Call Toking 24 hours a day for all your emergency roadside needs.
We all are experiencing how the current crisis is affecting our communication. Conducting virtual meetings or classes from the workplace or your home while maintaining security, efficiency, and effective communication throughout your organization is the new normal. Asbel Electronics can set up your business, school, or house of worship with hardware kits to enhance your virtual meeting experience and provide secure market-leading Cisco WebEx meeting or Teams for your face-to-face communication. Call Asbel Electronics at 254-824-0237.
We're back. Game Day Live on 365 Sports and also the CW channel. We'll hear from Chris Williams momentarily from McLean Stadium. An update, Kendry Miller just went deep. A long run, yet another long touchdown for TCU. He has 131 yards on 12 carries and 2 touchdowns. It's 48-17 TCU, and there's still 9 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the third quarter. Adrian Martinez got loose for a long touchdown run, and K-State right now leads Texas Tech 27-20. They have just under 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter with K-State up 7, Texas Tech with the football. Let's now go to McLean Stadium. Chris Williams from KWTX joins us. And Chris, I can tell by traffic usually even 2.5, 3 hours before the game where we are about a mile away from McLean Stadium on MLK if it's going to be one of those a little bit more packed than other games. Do you feel that sense right now?
Smokey, I think I lost you a little bit at the end there. I think you were talking about the atmosphere, and it is already starting to fill up in here. In fact, a guy dressed in a banana suit just walked in. And then if I turn all the way around to the berm here, you can see the berm is already packed with people sitting in that shade of the scoreboard up there. And then, of course, there's people on that home sideline in the shade as well. So, yeah, a lot of excitement around this game and a lot of gold. People really listen to that gold out call.
Chris, does Spencer Sanders end his turnover woes against Baylor since most of the ones he's had in his career have come against the green and gold?
I don't think so. I think Baylor gets at least one takeaway from Sanders today. I will say they need to be wary of Spencer Sanders' legs. I think that's where he can hurt this team. But if he's forced to go to the air, I think he throws at least one more interception today.
Chris, Blake Shapen seems like he hit a good groove last week. Do you think we see the Baylor offense with a different type of rhythm that they've built up now post-BYU?
I do. I love that they came out against Iowa State and they threw the ball that whole first drive, and it felt like Shapen was comfortable after that. So hopefully he can build off that. They know they can do it. Coach Grimes knows they can execute. So, yeah, I think he's going to be more comfortable today, and I hope that Grimes feels more comfortable opening up the playbook to reward that confidence he has in his quarterback.
Chris, this is turning into, and really has been, the Baylor and Oklahoma State has been back and forth. And, of course, the game that ended the first year against Dave Aranda, Oklahoma State came into McLean Stadium and humiliated Baylor. You wonder, even though a lot of players are back from that team, not a lot of them played in that game, do you feel like that has anything to do with how Baylor plays today?
I don't. I think they're probably more focused on last year. To be honest, I think that loss in Stillwater a year ago stung more than the blowout loss here at McLean, just because it was Baylor's first loss of the season, and the way they did it was that Baylor just looked flat during that entire game. So I think that game is more on the front of their minds than that one 2 years ago here at McLean. I think the players know how good Oklahoma State can be, and I don't think they think they're going to come out here and embarrass the Cowboys, but I think they're confident to come out here and in a hard-fought game, come out on top and maybe win comfortably by a score or two.
Do you feel like, from what you sensed during the week, that this is a focused team and that Iowa State, okay, that's great, we won, let's move on?
I think that Aranda is one of the best coaches in the country, getting his guys to take things 1 week at a time. So whether they're coming off a loss or coming off a win, they approach that week the same way they would if it was the opposite result on Saturday. So, yeah, I think that came in. There was probably a little extra buzz, a little extra energy at practice this week, but I think it was just their usual installment. Get ready, know your assignment, and then just show up on Saturday ready to go.
Yeah. Chris, what do you think about the Big 12? It's a meat grinder. Who would have known that the first team to get blown out would be Oklahoma?
Yeah, I did not see that one coming. I mean, do we need to start taking TCU that seriously now? Are they one of those teams that could be competing come December? I don't know. I am blown away by the way that game. I mean, it was 10 minutes left in the second quarter. TCU already was pushing 400 yards on the day. That is unbelievable.
Oklahoma State leads the all-time series 22-19. Baylor winning, of course, the last game. Baylor is 9-7, though, in games at home. And as you mentioned, they're thinking about that game against Stillwater, but also thinking about this week. Let's say this, Chris. If, in fact, Baylor can win at Iowa State, turn around and play a team like Oklahoma State and take the win, it's still very early, but what will that mean to them, in your opinion?
Well, I think that definitely makes them, especially with everything else going on in the conference, that would make Baylor the front runner. In fact, I think no matter who wins the game today, whether it's Baylor or Oklahoma State, who really hasn't been tested this season, no matter who comes out on top, I think a lot of people around the country and around the conference are going to look at them and say, they're the favorite, they're the team to beat. But also, the other side of that coin means every other team that plays Baylor is going to want to beat them that much more if they can win that game today.
Yeah. Go ahead. All right. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate your time. Chris Williams, KWTX, a part of what we do in our partnership with our Game Day live shows on Saturday. Today's CW channel. We've also, of course, been right in the middle of it with KWTX. A couple of reminders. We're going to come back and wrap it up and give an opinion or two or a prediction or two. CW channel. Every weeknight at 10:30, we will have Sports Tonight on the CW channel with what we do during the week on 365 Sports. This is 365 Sports, some predictions and more next.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Cars priced right both day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
Did you know that Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a partner of the city of Waco? Did you know that we are open to the public? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers day passes to the public for only $10 a day, and we offer money-saving memberships. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including bar, yoga, boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. There are free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, elliptical machines, and much more on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training available where you can be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed and kids club, 17 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at wacotennis.com. Call us at 254-753-7675 or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Three Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
All right, we're back, 365 Sports, and not far from kickoff, just after 2:30. The game, of course, at 2:30, Oklahoma State and Baylor. Here's a nugget or two. Last time Oklahoma State played in Waco, they hammered Baylor. They ended Baylor's season. Charlie Brewer didn't even finish the game. He basically walked into the tunnel. That was it for him. Hammered him by 40. But Baylor's won 3 of the last 5, 6 of the last 9, and they've been able to get a win or two in Stillwater, which used to be like for them, like the opposite of the Holy Grail. They just couldn't win there. They started winning there. RG3 was blown out there in 2011. Baylor was able to win in Stillwater, though, back in 2015. That kind of stopped it all. and then they've won a couple of times there since then. So they have had success even when either team has been up or down, but these two teams are competing to try to win a Big 12 championship again.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see what kind of home field advantage swing goes from place to place year to year. Look, in 2019, Baylor went up to Stillwater and in a game that was close for a minute, got a lot of turnovers and special teams plays and broke that thing wide open. So that was Terrell Bernard's big coming out party, if you'll remember. So I'm very curious to see how this kind of new budding, it's always been a Big 12 rivalry, but might be one of the better rivalries in the new Big 12 because these are the two teams that are currently at the top of it. And I'm curious to see how that swings from city to city. I think it's going to be a different kind of game than both the ones we saw last year. I don't think it's going to be anything like, this Oklahoma TCU game or like that, but I do think we're going to see some points scored, and I do think that turnovers are going to be the key, and if Baylor can create them like they have against Spencer Sanders the last few times they've played them, then they're going to win the game.
Yeah, I expect a bunch of points to be scored as well, or not a bunch as in old school Big 12, but I think there will be a good number of points scored, not the 24-17 type games that we saw last year. I'm thinking a little bit more, or I guess it was less than that, but a little bit higher than that. These two teams have a lot at stake today. I mean, it's not a win or your season's over type situation by any means, but I think you look around the Big 12 and see how wide open it is. And for Baylor, it would be huge to move to 2-0 and get this, big win over a team that is going to be in the mix, as we all expect Oklahoma State to be, especially after beating Iowa State and Ames. I think that just sets you up really nicely heading into the rest of this stretch. So for Oklahoma State, on their end, to beat a top Baylor team, that they know is going to be one of the toughest teams in the league, a top 15-ish type of win for them, and 1-0 start in Big 12 play and a road win like Baylor got last week, I think would be huge for the Pokes. So, both ways this goes or could go, it's a big win for either team.
Oklahoma State did win the opening meeting back in 1914, 60-0, and then Baylor won 9 straight against the Cowboys in the teens, the 20s, and then the 30s. Oklahoma State at one point won 15 of 16 games in the rivalry, and then it started to turn a little bit. They had success. Oklahoma State would beat Baylor up. They scored, here are the points scored, 66, 45, 34, 34, 55, 59 against Bryce Petty and company when Petty tripped inside the 5-yard line, and then they didn't get in. That was 49-17. 59-16, Matt Rowe's first year. That was a 1-11 team, and then, of course, they won 42-3 back in 2020. So they have put up a bunch of points when they have won in the last 10 or 15 years. All right, so, Paul, your thoughts. Give us, both of you kind of gave your ideas about what might happen. Let's now get into actually the score of this game.
I think Baylor, I think this game is in the mid-30s to high 20s in a score game, or maybe 38-31 kind of a game. I don't expect it to be what you call a slugfest. Like I said, I think Baylor wins. I think that they're a little bit more careful with the ball. And I'm curious to see both these running games. I think Baylor might be a step ahead of that with their young running backs as opposed to Oklahoma State. So we'll see how that goes. But I think Baylor wins this one.
Yeah, I'm taking Baylor. I forget the score that I sent in earlier, but I think I had them winning by 10-14. I know that the spread thinks it'll be a lot closer than that. I could see it being a lot closer than that, but I also think that that's based on the fact that we don't know everything about these two teams yet, and we're going to learn a lot more today. So I like Baylor at home with a sold-out crowd and the rhythm that they hit last week.
I think I said 30-24. The prediction things, obviously, none of us were right last week up in Ames, having Iowa State winning that game, and Baylor ended up winning and controlling most of it from start to finish. I said 30-24. Obviously, I liked what I saw. One of the things I like, guys, from what I saw last week, it wasn't perfect, but they won in the road, and they kind of dictated early on. There were a couple of things that went against Iowa State with those penalties, yes, and that helped. But I saw a little bit of the personality of what we saw and how they won a year ago with defense, turnovers, and an offense that was efficient and controlled the football.
Yeah, certainly that they played confident, truly confident for the first time this year, I think, last week in Ames.
All right, so a lot of different people. Chris Williams from McLean Stadium. Chris, thank you very much. Appreciate KWTX General Manager Josh Young for what he does. with us and how all this started back in the spring with just an idea, the two of us sitting down and talking about the possibility of doing more together. Andrew Hamilton back at the studios at KWTX, and of course Garrett Ross here at our studios just a mile away from McLean Stadium on 101 Elm and MLK. For Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina, for all of our sponsors both on TV and on 365 Sports, it is Oklahoma State and Baylor. Oklahoma State has not played a Big 12 game. They will today against the 1-0 Bears. This is 365 Sports and the CW channel.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears great success this season. Sic 'em Bears.
I'm Shannon Smith, and I'm the Executive Director at REACH Therapeutic Riding Center. REACH is a premier accredited center that specializes in equine-assisted activities for children and adults with disabilities, as well as our Horses for Warriors program that provides services for any United States military, veteran, or service member entirely free of charge. This year, our goal is to raise $30,000 to purchase our own horse trailer so we can continue to change lives one ride at a time.
One thing I hear most often from my patients is they still have pain after back surgery. In fact, almost 50% of my patients have experienced failed back surgery.
I had a disc decompression, which actually didn't work. I didn't ever think I was going to feel better. Then I went to advanced pain care. Now I feel better than I've ever felt before. When advanced pain care says the pain stops here, they definitely mean it. I am thankful to Advanced Pain Care for getting me back to doing the things I love.
Call today for a same-day appointment. Locations across Texas. Advanced Pain Care, pain stops here.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears great success this season. Sic 'em Bears.
Catch up on the day's news with KWTX News 10.